We are in a dark place, America. Over 100,000 Americans dead from a virus that we have still failed to contain. Over a quarter of all Americans unemployed, and the only help is going to giant corporations. People of all color are rising up all across the country against police brutality and police murdering black men in the streets with no accountability. And our law and order president, when he's not busy golfing at his own resorts, is threatening to bring in the National Guard to execute people for property crimes. Fuck. Now, I don't exactly condone riots, but I understand. And I don't condemn riots when the time calls for them. And right now, the fucking time calls for them. Just arrest the damn murderous cops. And if you condemn riots without condemning the underlying conditions that led to riots, you are part of the problem. That's straight from white people's favorite black activist, Dr. Martin Luther King. And yet, like clockwork, I see people using Dr. King to condemn protesters in Minneapolis, saying shit like, oh, he wouldn't approve. Dr. King protested the right way. Please shut the fuck up. Dr. King was murdered, and most white people hated him at the time of his death and said shit like, oh, he's not protesting the right way. Colin Kaepernick took a fucking knee, the most peaceful thing you can do, as long as it's not in someone else's neck. And people said, oh, he's not protesting the right way. It's never the right way to protest injustice in America. People praising Dr. King's nonviolent approach now never talk about his description of riots. They always leave that part out, right? Dr. King said riots are the language of the unheard. They don't just happen for no fucking reason. After fucking being shit on over and over and over again, and after calls for justice go unheeded time and time again, and after fucking authority figures take no accountability for their actions, people get fed up and react. No justice, no peace. And it should be no surprise the revolution is happening in Minneapolis. It's the birthplace of Prince. Plus, they have one of the most corrupt and abusive police forces in the country. Just a few years ago, there were uprisings after Jamar Clark was murdered by a cop who was never charged with a crime. The fucking cop who killed George Floyd had 18 complaints against him and yet was never charged with anything. The prosecutor in the county where Floyd was murdered already came out and said it doesn't look like any crime was committed. What the fuck did you think was going to happen? And yet for 2 days, there were peaceful protests until cops started firing tear gas and rubber bullets into crowds. There are also reports of agent provocateurs, undercover cops who went around smashing windows and shit to set other people off. Last night, cops arrested a reporter for reporting. Where is the condemnation of police actions? But yes, there was some rioting, there was some looting. But that was just a small segment of the protesters. That was just a few bad apples. Or do only police departments get to say that? There is a historical precedent for riots. Globally, they're a reaction to injustice. It's not like people are rioting for no good reason, like the University of Minnesota just won a bowl game or something. By the way, University of Minnesota will no longer be using the Minneapolis Police Department at their football games because of their history of abuse. That's how fucking bad they are. But yeah, in America, celebratory rioting, that's acceptable. Storming Capitol buildings with fucking assault rifles, ignoring safety protocols, yelling in cops' faces about not wearing masks, that's acceptable too. Cops are real cool with that. But protest police abuse? Bring out the riot gear and tear gas. Stop acting like riots happen with no provocation from police. As the wise philosopher Lil Jon once said, "There's one, no stop, won't be no stop." Hey.